All right, welcome back YouTube family. We're back in the dungeon and today we're working on the G20. As you saw in the title of the video, we're gonna go ahead and give it a big brake upgrade. There's a host of things that I still wanna do to this car to get me motivated back to driving it. I have a full list of things that I really wanna do. I have a stack of parts that really should go onto the car and just things that need to be refreshed on the car. I don't know if this is gonna a car I'm gonna keep it long term. So I've already been getting offers for it. I haven't said I'm gonna sell it yet, but likelihood is that may happen. Not in the near future though. It does have to go through all the changes that I want it to go through first. And then I'll decide if that's something that I want to keep or I'll just keep it as a cruiser. But there's a lot to go on to it. But for today, we're gonna deal specifically with the big brake upgrade. We're gonna be using the B15 Sentra Spec V Brembo kit in the front. It was actually on my P11. That's one of the things I kept before I gave Sergio the shell for that P11. Just so you guys know, when you go ahead and you guys use a Spec V B15 Brembo, this is what you're buying right here. This caliper is huge, it's massive. It does use huge pads and a much bigger rotor. And if you want the specific rotor size, I'll put it up above compared to the stock P10 rotor size. But you're gonna have to use bigger wheels. You're gonna have to find the wheels that actually fit these calipers. And if you can see, mine are black here, and I'll explain that in a second. So these were purchased brand new from the Nissan dealership, so I know the mileage on these. I believe this was the last brand new set that was purchased by the guy I bought the P11 from that I used to own. So this is going to require a larger wheel. For a lot of you, it's just simply just buying the Nismo 57C Gram Light Edition wheels. Those are made specifically to fit these wheels. Also, what you could do is find another 17, as you guys saw previously in one of my videos. I'll put the link above. I had CE28s on the P11 that covered these wheels, covered these brakes and fit just fine, and that'll work as well. But for the P10, I hate 17s on the P10. They just look all sorts of wrong to me personally. And I really don't like 15s on a P10. They're way too small. We're talking about Dayton's on a B12 or something like that. That's what it looks like to me. It's horrible. But matter of preference, you guys can do whatever you like. So for me, I had to find a 16x8 wheel that I really wanted to fit on this because I wanted to fit more meat under the wheel well as well. 16x7s was just not enough. And the TE16s that were on this car would not clear these brakes because of the flat base of the wheel. So I had to get something that's more concave, well, less concave, but more of a, how can I say, just more of a rounded edge kind of wheel that would cover this. I did find a wheel, an old school wheel, and that's the one I wanted, and it was in the specs I wanted. So what I had to do though to fit that wheel before I sent it off to get powder coated was I had to shave down the caliper. Now it wasn't shaving a lot. It was really, there's just the imperfections that the casting of this caliper comes with at the top that makes like all these ridges on top. I made it smooth. I took it to my buddy Mario, he smoothed it out. The reason I painted it with black caliper paint is because it's hard to match this golden Brembo paint, because this is actually paint, it's not powder coat from the factory. So this still looks really good. It's still in really good shape. It's aluminum, so it's not gonna rust. So caliper paint, sectioned everything off. That's gonna hold, and plus while the wheel's on, and I'll show you guys the wheel at the end of the video. When the wheel's on, you'll only see the face of the caliper. So that's something that you have to keep in mind. You're not gonna see the top of it. So it doesn't damage the integrity of the caliper at all. Nothing was broken apart, which is something that you can damage when you split these, because these are one-time use stretch bolts when you separate this caliper. Something for you to know. Also, what you need to use to do this swap is you need the B15 caliper, right? You're gonna need the B15 Spec V rotor as well for the Brembo package B15, and you can use your standard P10 brake line. Now this P10, I already had the P11 upgrade. So for this P10, I upgraded to the P11 brakes, which are bigger than the P10 brakes. And now I'm gonna move on to this just because I have these laying around and really they just look a lot better than what I got. Don't mind the neighbors, we're gonna get through this together. So let's go ahead and get this started. All right, so here's the P11 rotor compared to the Spec V B15 rotor. As you can see, it's a massive difference, and it's actually much more of a noticeable difference when you compare the P10 rotor, which if I would have had, I would have shown it to you guys. I'll post up the differences in diameters at the top between the P10, P11, and the B15 Spec V rotor. It's a pretty big rotor. All right, one thing you guys have to remember is that you can use your standard brake line. This car already has Goodrich brake lines, stainless steel brake lines all the way around. But what you have to keep is the B15 Spec V banjo bolt, because this banjo bolt right here is much shorter than the P11 caliper banjo bolt. And as you can see, if I put them side by side here for you to see, it's physically shorter, which means the brake line will be dancing around and you won't be able to tighten it enough to squeeze it down and seal it. So keep in mind, keep your B15 Spec V banjo bolt. If you buy brake lines and you're going to do this to your P10, buy Spec V brake lines, okay? Because you're going to need this banjo bolt, unless you could just source this, or if this comes with your brake calipers already, then use that. But you're definitely going to use this instead of the P10 or P11 banjo bolt itself. So this is the end result, guys. It's all bolted up. I did put a set of pre-scorched Centric Posi Quiet pads in there. I choose Centric because they do make Stop Tech pads. They are a sister company of other larger brake pad companies, but they are great for street, not track. Obviously, this is more of a cruiser, a daily driver per se. So this is something I would drive to work and put it in traffic, no problem. So everything fits, bolts up just fine. Again, stainless steel line, it's already set up, it's routed perfectly, everything fits and works. Now the big question is, will my wheels clear? Obviously I tested them pre-hand. I did get my wheels powder coated, so I'm not sure if they'll fit now, because that does add a little bit of thickness. It was pretty close before, so we'll find out after, especially because wheel weights were added. But we're gonna go ahead and do the other side. We got one more side to go, and then we're gonna bleed everything. I'll give you the go ahead and the procedure on how to bleed that. I gave it to you before when we did the Stop Tech install on a Deal Cars P10, but I'll give it to you again. There are two different steps. One for pre-ABS, which is 91 through 93, I believe, and then one post-ABS, which is after 93.5 to 96 for the P10. I'll post that up above when we do that. So let's go ahead and get moving. I'll get the other side done. So I figure while we're in here as well, I might as well dress up the engine bay a little bit. These brackets that hold the radiator or isolators or whatever you want to call them, these are pretty rusty, so I sent them out and got them powder coated wrinkle black. I do have a couple other goodies that'll go on, but once we put the car down is when we'll put them on, obviously, because strap bar, as you can see, is not on. So these will just go right here, pretty easy. And that does that. Just little simple things like that really change the car quite a bit from having old rusty parts on there. Now we'll go on to the next step. I sent these off to get powder coated as well. They got powder coated in satin black, so they look pretty nice and minty as well. I'll put new wiper blades on it as well. I have some Michelin wiper blades that'll go on right on it. So I'll put these on again. Just another simple little thing that's gonna make the car look a little bit nicer and cleaner overall. Doesn't cost too much to do this stuff, guys. You guys can spray paint, of course. SEM makes great satin black paint, but I like to go that extra step. All right, so I took the carbing strut bar as well. Again, like I told you guys, I wanted to clean it up in here a little bit, and I went ahead and powder coated it wrinkle black. It was matching to the Illusion Malbec that this is, which is a fantastic color, but the portion that was under the hood, the material that was under it was rubbing up on it, and because it was like a glossy coat, it really was rubbing on it and ruining the finish. So I sent it back out, had to do it wrinkle black. I may do the valve cover wrinkle black. I kind of like the Merlot, but it is, it has a new badge on it that's OEM and everything like that. I do have another valve cover for it. It is wrinkle black, so maybe I'll match everything. I don't know. Maybe that'll be for the next owner. That'll be for the next time that we go ahead and talk about this. So I'll have my daughter go ahead and install it. I'll show you guys what it looks like installed, and then we'll go outside, take a peek of the wheels. We're at my favorite recording spot, only because it's a big open lot, right? So we're able to take the car out. I've bedded in the brakes. They do come pre-scorched from Centric, but obviously as you drive them and you put heat into them, they feel better and better. So I'm driving the car a little bit. Obviously you can see a little bit of the car. Again, I told you what's going to be very important for you to use is definitely get the correct banjo bolt, right? For the brake lines. Spec V, Brembo brake calipers, Spec V, Brembo, B15 rotors, and again, whatever lines you have, but have the correct banjo bolt. I did put the diameters of the rotors and the differences in size in the previous shots, right? My daughter was able to go ahead and just install the strut bar. I did change that. I do have other things for it. Like I had said, I do have other plans for the car before I decide what I'm gonna do with it. But for now, let's look at the wheels. So as you saw, a little slow motion video, a little panning of the video, the fitment is on point. These are 16 by 8 inky PF01s, old school JDM wheels. Yeah, I thought they were super period correct, and they clear the brembos. I took a shot in the dark. I actually had to buy 2 separate sets from 2 separate sellers to make them fit, because they usually come in a 16 by 8 and a 16 by 7 set, because most of the old school 240 guys had them. I guess that's how they were sold. So bought 2 sets, put them together, sent them off to get powder coated. Don't worry guys, the center caps are on their way and they have been powder coated, so those will be on there as well. As you can tell, the caliper is super close to the wheel. I mean, it is a credit card's thickness from the wheel itself, and that, so we clearanced it just enough to where we didn't, again, we just sanded down the imperfections on the caliper itself, didn't remove that much material, but it was just enough to clear, and it is safe. There's nothing that it's impacting, unless something gets like lodged in there. Oddly, something just gets lodged in there. I doubt I'll have any issues. If I put a light behind it, you're able to see that there is quite a bit of space in there. But one of the biggest issues and the hardest things to find is wheels that actually have spokes that'll go around the caliper itself, and these spokes have plenty of clearance as far as that goes. So that's it. Brembo install is done. Again, get the proper wheels to go ahead and make sure they fit over your Brembos, or else you're going to be in a world of hurt. Obviously I had to modify mine a little bit, but it's because I wanted to go with 16s on the P10. 17s are a no-go for me. I could have gone with 16 by 8.5s and been like Dane, but then again, my car actually runs, so no offense, but I will say it does change the look of the car quite a bit. Those brakes are massive. They look even more massive, especially with the 16s on. So that's it guys, and just remember, again, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, if you guys are looking for a set of Fortunato or X1 series coilovers, Cygnus Performance is where it has to be at. You're definitely gonna get a discount if you use the BSA code for X series coilovers, for your X1 series coilovers. It goes for their whole range of applications. And if you want a set of Fortunatos and you'd like a discount on that, you're welcome to email us at blipshipapex@gmail.com. I'll send you a promo code that you're going to be able to use as well through Cygnus Performance and Jeff over there. If you guys need somebody to go ahead and assist you as far as picking spring rates for your Sentra, your B13, B14, B15, P10, P11, you're welcome to contact us, blipshipapex@gmail.com. I'll walk you through that so that you can go ahead and place your order through Cygnus Performance, and he can help you out with that discount. Thanks again guys. Remember to like and subscribe. Forgot to say that, this YouTube thing, right? Like and subscribe. I appreciate you guys. Peace.